Is digital presence important nowadays? Well, let's see. Hi, my name is Jocelyn Gilbert, and today at the Newcomer Network, Multicultural channel, we are going to talk about digital presence with Pamela Wilton. Hi, Pamela. How are you?
I'm well, Jocelyn. How are you?
I'm so excited to have such an amazing person today here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. The feeling is mutual.
You know, Pamela, I have been creating content for many years in social media. So LinkedIn has become my favorite platform. And I'm all the time trying to find content creators that talk about LinkedIn. And you're one of them. So that's why I'm so excited to have you here today.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Yes, LinkedIn is my favorite platform as well.
Yeah.
For so many reasons, and that's grown over time. I mean, I've explored many social media platforms myself, but when it comes to business and my professional career, I feel that LinkedIn has brought so much opportunity.
Before we start the conversation, I would like you to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of information. I would say a little bit because you post a lot about what you do on LinkedIn.
Okay, no, happy to. My name is Pamela Wilton, and I'm a business development consultant and writer, primarily focused on email marketing and building content authority. I've been in business for over 20 years, primarily in aviation and tourism business events, both as an employee as well as now an entrepreneur. And it's always been in the space of building and growing the business, as well as nurturing and maintaining existing clients and accounts. And I've been very lucky to travel to many different parts of the world, but also to call Winnipeg my home for the last 20 years. And yes, it's often involved a lot of marketing and sales and networking in person and online, which we'll talk about a lot today. And I must say, I also love the outdoors. I'm outside all year round, even playing ultimate frisbee, yes, year round in Winnipeg.
Year round. That means in winter too.
Yes, in winter, indoors.
Okay, but you're very active. I can see you, and when I see you in this winter, I say, why I am not able to do that.
Yes, and I even have started sharing that side of me on LinkedIn, because you often think of LinkedIn as being so business and so serious, but I think it's like great to show that personal side as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And tell us a little bit about what you post on LinkedIn, which I know because I followed you and I turn on the notifications. So every time you post something, I immediately check it out because I love them. But the audience, they know.
Love that. I know my feed loves your content as well. You always pop up for me too. I primarily post on online networking, being able to leverage LinkedIn, email marketing. I do like to talk about sales and marketing. I'm saying marketing.
Yeah.
And, but essentially like making those business connections and the various ways we can do that. And so when it's for your professional career or for your business or as an entrepreneur, there's many different levers that you can use when you're using LinkedIn. And that's what I really like to showcase for people and to talk about and to encourage others to do so as well.
I have an example. When you apply for a job, I think one of the first things your employer or your future employer, one of the first things that they do is to check your social media. Okay, is this person aligned to our values? Sometimes we used to think that that's something very personal, but the employer wants to know about you because you will be part of them if they choose you as a candidate, as an employee. But now one of the first things that we put in our resume is your LinkedIn account.
Yes.
So when people search you online, what happens when you are not there? What do you think?
Yes, no, absolutely. I think that does maybe take away some potential opportunity for a future employer to learn more about you. Because if your competition or competitor actually has an online presence, there's a chance that they can really showcase themselves and show a little bit more about themselves and their experiences and their personality that may raise, the opportunity for them to be the candidate versus if you don't have something online. Absolutely.
The other day I was talking to a friend and I told him, hey, it's not about what you know, it's about who knows you.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where, platform like LinkedIn to make those additional connections and whatnot. And yeah, just to put yourself out there. And I mean, when I first started using LinkedIn, I was using it in that way to stay connected with professional contacts. So if I met, my fellow colleagues, if I made, connections with clients, I would add them on LinkedIn. Because at that time, which I might age myself, Facebook was really big, but it was felt too personal. So LinkedIn was just a good way to stay in contact with people. And especially if you're changing jobs, you can still hold on to those relationships. And over the years, that just compounds that you have these people that you're able to stay in touch with over the long term. And you never know when those relationships come back around because they often do.
Yeah. And something that I have noticed is that people think LinkedIn is a platform just for you to look for a job.
Yes. No, I think beyond, and I've used LinkedIn in that way as well too, but there's also opportunities if you're looking to hire. There's many opportunities to learn. I think there was somebody posted recently about they can mindlessly go on social media, but if you mindlessly go on LinkedIn, you're actually learning and probably potentially making some new connections at the same time. I think too with LinkedIn, and this is a little bit of a progression too. So at first I just, use it for connections, but then when you start posting, that kind of takes you to a next level. And I know that it can come up that people are like, well, what do I post? And especially maybe you're new in your career and you're just learning and whatnot. But I think at the beginning, you can just curate and showcase what other people are talking about or industry news or things that you are interested in. But when you talk about that, you can put your own opinion or your own spin on that. And I think that's very helpful to showcase your brand. But I also think that it's also helpful when you write it and you capture your own thoughts on an idea or a trend, you're actually reinforcing it for yourself and you're working on developing your own voice, which is additional, very valuable skill to have nowadays.
And this is what makes that person different from the person that is not posting anything.
Yes, absolutely. But there is we talk about there's the lurkers on LinkedIn, and there's a stat that 4% of all LinkedIn users actually post, and maybe 1% will post consistently. And that means if you're still just watching, you're still getting something. But when you start participating, even it depends what you feel is more accessible. If you feel you can post, that's awesome. But what I think is even great is to start commenting and liking and engaging with other people's posts as well. That really gets you into the game.
And what about those people who engage only with connections that have big communities only? Because that has happened to me. Some people ignore my post, but I see that they engage with other posts, and I say, why? And then I check because I like to see how the process goes. I like to see the numbers. And
yes, I know. I get really into the numbers as well too. And it is interesting. And I think honestly, there is a hybrid approach of engaging with bigger accounts, but you really need to balance it too with the people that you are closer to as well as and they're still in your network, just to have those conversations. And I mean, step one is, liking or responding to it. Then there's the next level of having a comment. And then there's the third is really elevating your comment to be part of a conversation, maybe asking a question, maybe having a different point of view. But just being able to, actually have like a real human conversation online. And even, being able to take those, sometimes you end up meeting people more in real life, or you get into the DMs or virtual coffees or in-person coffees. It's all just the starting point, and they can all build in many different ways.
Yeah, I usually meet in person those people that even from other provinces.
Yes.
Last time I went to Ontario, I met someone in person who I was in contact through LinkedIn. I mean, 2 people.
Yes.
And that was fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And some of my guests at this program, I have met them on LinkedIn.
Yes. And I think the more that you show up on LinkedIn, the more people will remember you as well. And then you can have those fun moments in person. And I was just at an event recently, and instead of business cards, often I'll do like a LinkedIn request, like write live with the QR code. And I went to add this gentleman. We were having a great conversation. He was in accounting and like for, small business. So I was very intrigued. And we went to connect, and we're already connected. And it was just so funny. I'm like, well, we'll just continue to have this conversation. But it's one of those things. But often too, it'll be like, you look familiar to me. And it was like, oh yes, LinkedIn. So you never know.
It happened to me at my kids' school.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at someone and he was looking at me. And at the end of the event, I say, hey, I know you from somewhere. But we didn't remember. And well, just in case, are you on LinkedIn? Yes. When I looked for him, yes, we were. Yeah.
Yes. No, I have that LinkedIn or do you play Frisbee? Sometimes it's one or the two. That's how we might know each other. Yes.
Yeah, but I think this is a good opportunity for us to expand our network.
Yes.
And it's real. It can be real.
Yes.
It depends on how you take it. I am in so many groups, newcomer groups, and LinkedIn is not that common in our countries. And I heard networking is not real. LinkedIn is not real. But I think it is real. It depends on the person. And there's something that you posted a few days ago about being genuine instead of transactional. When you are authentic,
Yes.
it's real.
Yes.
The connection is real.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I think it's how you can show up and just be yourself. And like what you're interested in, what you have to share. And I think that will attract people that are also interested in speaking to those topics that you enjoy, or those opportunities, or, just getting to meet with you. And I know that there can be that side with social media that people are like, is everyone just like playing the game, or it isn't real? But I mean, there's a big section of people that are genuinely on there looking to connect. And I think there's various ways of like starting it with a virtual connection in a relationship. If you're engaging in other people's content, and if they're bigger accounts or smaller accounts, you can still meet people. You kind of tend to find the algorithm will start bringing people that you might be interested in and might have a relationship with. But then even from there, like being able to take them into DMs, or should we have a virtual coffee, as they say. But it also depends on what your goals are. So if you're interested in looking for a job, or you do have your own business, it's like how you can do a genuine nurturing of the people and the businesses that make sense for you to connect with. And I once heard it being said as making friends at scale. Like that's networking. Like networking can feel like, oh, people are just trying to be salesy, or, trying to get something. And it doesn't have to be that way at all. Like you can go in with goals and have an idea of what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, the worst that can happen is that you make some good new contact points, and you don't know where they'll take you in the future.
A few weeks ago, a friend of mine asked me, Jocelyn, what is the value of networking? Because I see you everywhere. I attend so many networking events, and I'm all the time talking about the amazing opportunities that we can get about through LinkedIn and attending events. So I want to ask you the same questions because I want to hear your perspective and share it with our audience.
Yes.
Why it is important to that much networking and connecting with people in person, but also online.
Why is it important? It's, the world really works on a human to human basis at the end of the day. So there are the big businesses, but businesses are, even with AI, it's still a human-human interaction. And I do understand too, I'm maybe a mix of introverted and extroverted. So sometimes online really suits me in that way to connect with people. I get a lot of energy from meeting people in real life as well too. But I do get that that's not necessarily for everyone. But I think knowing at first, it might feel a little bit awkward, but if you just continue to show up and become consistent online or even in certain events, people will start to remember you. You will start to know people, and that just slowly grows and grows. And what comes from that is, and we keep saying opportunity, but what are the opportunities? It could be a job. It could be a speaking opportunity. It could be a chance to work together with somebody on a project, maybe volunteer for a cool opportunity like an event or, you name it. I've been asked to do a mentorship based on like my online presence. I've been asked for speaking engagements, which I find is just really great way to connect with people in various ways when you're sharing that. I've, through jobs, I've gotten through LinkedIn as well, like from a project basis with my own business, as well as when I was an employee. And I mean, some of those relationships spanned, maybe a month, maybe a year, maybe more than that, and eventually just grew into something. And even if they didn't, it's still just a nice contact to have out there. Maybe you need a sounding board. Another thing to think about too is being able to connect other people and how they can work together is very rewarding.
Which I love.
Yeah, it's like I heard recently too is expanding your luck surface. So for different things that you're looking for, by just being able to plant these seeds, like showing up online, in person, or whatnot, it's just going to increase your area of opportunity at the end of the day.
A few months ago, I got a message from someone. Hey, Jocelyn, I know you're very active, so I got a free ticket for this conference. Would you like to attend? And I say, yes, for sure. And I went to the conference. And the conference was $500. And I was not going to pay for that. I didn't have the budget.
Yes.
And just because someone texted me and told me about the ticket. She was thinking who I could share the ticket with. Jocelyn. Why? Because I'm very active and I like interacting and attending events.
That's
and
amazing.
This is one of the opportunities.
Yes, I love that. I love that. You just never know. And I mean, this is how you hear about different opportunities too. Like people are posting about jobs that they're hiring for or events that they're attending. And if they're frequent events, you're like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to attend the next one. And you can hear again and learn about new industry trends and like get that new knowledge. And yeah, I just think there's like just so much, even just popping on here and there. But if you're able to make a consistent showing, you can really see it.
Yeah.
It really shows after time.
It's not because we are looking for a job, but in the future, we never know. If you build your personal brand in the future and something happens at work and you have to leave the job,
Yes.
Organizations close, programs close, and we need to be ready.
Yes.
So what will happen when you go outside and you don't have a network?
Yes. Yes. No, exactly. And I think that's just thinking for the long-term play. And even what I put in my posts for being genuine and not transactional, but thinking for the long term. And, if there is somebody that comes in and maybe is a little abrupt, like if you're starting to put yourself out there, it's somebody's kind of like, what can you do for me? And then they leave. And it's like, you know what, maybe just as well. Like if that's just what they're looking for is those quick hits, Because there's plenty of people that are looking for the longer term, like the meaningful, purposeful relationships.
In a conversation with a friend, I told him, hey, you should work on LinkedIn. You have the potential. Many things can happen. And he told me, I want to stay here until my retirement. And I said, yes, okay. Okay, so do LinkedIn because of the content that you can bring, the value that you can bring to the community. You don't have to think about leaving a job or when you're looking for a job, but what can you bring to the community? What can you give to other people who are there? Because something I like about it is that everybody, well, not everybody, but most of the people are specialists in one area. But that means if you're a specialist in one area, you could learn from me because this is not yours, and I could learn from you.
Yes.
So it's a way to give also.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. And I mean, when you think about that too, if you're close to retirement, or you're like, you know what, I'm not looking for the next opportunity, but that idea to get those thoughts and those ideas and that experiences out of your head. And of course, like, we're using AI and like the ChatGPT and different large language models, but there's so much experience that come from these humans that we'll like never get from them. So if they, took that time and like, I mean, it's up to them, but just think of how much value they can give us by sharing their knowledge. And I mean, I honestly think at any age, there's people that have so much knowledge and information and ideas to give, and we can just really all learn from each other.
Yeah, I like that what you say. It doesn't matter the age.
Yeah.
I'm learning from my son. Some things, hey, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I know, especially I feel at this point, I'm like in the mid-range here. I'm just transitioned into, there's lots of people younger than me and older than me as well that are teaching me every day. And I'm just getting all the perspectives. And if you if you block out any one in particular, you're really losing out.
Yeah, learning never ends.
No.
I don't know if you read a few days ago, I posted about Yahoo, Kodak, High Five, MySpace, all those platforms. Well, Kodak is not a platform, but companies that they closed because they were not ready for the change. The same is happening with us.
Yes.
If we don't get ready, other people will take our spots.
Yes.
Just because they are having a stronger presence.
Yes. And I think you bring up an important point, because this online ability to be able to communicate and to connect and to transact, even like there are transactions that still take place. Like, we do talk about long term, but for sure, like, different things happen very quickly in the short term. And if all of this is happening and you're missing out or you're not present, it is a lot of lost opportunity for you. And but there is a skill upgrade, but there's lots of resources and podcasts and YouTube channels and watching this, like, you can start to like learn about these things. And honestly, everyone starts somewhere, right? It's like, signing up for an account, getting your profile set up in a, even in a minimal way, and you can be going.
Yeah. I had a meeting with a client, and she told me, hey, Jocelyn, I'm so sad because people don't trust in me. They don't see value in me. And I say, why you say that? And I feel so sad about it, she said. But I like the way you look. Everybody trusts you. Everybody likes you. You're very energetic. And I said, let me see your digital presence. Are you showcasing what you do?
Right.
You should have lots to give, but if people don't know what you can give,
Yes.
how can they know?
Yes, no, that's absolutely true. And I think it like builds as you go, because at the beginning you kind of come in with some thoughts. You're right. If you don't have your thoughts out there to begin with, then people don't get a chance to know you. And the more you show up and the more you come with your ideas and then there's some consistency, that just really builds that trust and authority that you bring with that digital presence. And without it, it's just like you can get there, but it's just much more touch points like in person or various ways to be able to get in front of people. And I mean, with digital presence, I also include just the various touch points that you can have even outside of LinkedIn. And that's where I get into my email side as well too, because you just with email as well, it's like having a social media post inside of an email to hit people's inboxes and to be able to continue to stay in touch that way as well too. It's just all these little points, but adding value the whole time too. It's not just like posting or emailing for the sake of it, but something that can genuinely help somebody in their day or in their business. And without even having an ask. You don't have to have an ask, you can just have a share or a happy to help. And that's absolutely a way to connect with people and in both formats.
Now that you mentioned the email, sometimes people say, no, Jocelyn, that's too much work. And then you're talking about email, so more work?
Yes, but it's all like, it all like continually grows, right? And the thing with email that is interesting, and I do, again, LinkedIn and the social platforms have so much to give, but everything is owned on that platform. So for the attention that you get for your post or for the people that you're connected with, I mean, TikTok disappeared for 24 hours and came back, but if LinkedIn suddenly left, you lose all of those connections. And I know we're still convincing people to get on there, still get on there. LinkedIn shouldn't go away. But with email, that's the idea, to be able to gather people and still own your audience outside of that. And so you're still able to have a little bit more ownership and get in front of them still when you can get into their inboxes and be able to connect with them even more directly.
This is my next step, so I want you to help me.
Yeah. Excellent. I love it.
I'm planning to start it in 3 months, maybe 4.
I love it. It can start, again, it's just like your LinkedIn presence. It can just start with the sign up for my newsletter, and then you can like grow and build it from there.
Oh, I get nervous.
You can do it. We can do it.
I have so many ideas, but yeah,
Yes.
This is my second.
Yes.
This is my next step.
I love it.
Yeah.
I support you.
And something else I want to add, it's you have your digital presence, you are on LinkedIn, you're offering a service, and there's someone else who's offering the same service. People will tend to get your service easier than from the other person, just because they trust you.
Yeah.
They see you every day. They see who you are, and they have that connection with you. So I would add that too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that's an absolutely an excellent point. And I mean, I think it also goes both ways, that when people get a feel for what your knowledge base is and what you're passionate about and what you're excited and where your strengths and your experiences are, you can also bring in the people that are like the best people to work with for yourself as well, which is really where all the magic is at the end of the day. And I even for my own business and like what I feel that I'm continually working on is like helping people who already want to work together find each other. And I know like sometimes we think about the networking and social media and marketing and sales that it's all like, like is it for real? But I mean, genuinely, we have needs and dreams and desires and wants that we need help with, and we really need to find those people. So for anyone that's hesitant to come online, it's like, well, we could really need you or really use you or get what you have to offer. So please don't take that away from us. We need you. We need you there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela. And we are in all social media platforms. So we are going to be posting this on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube. So you will have Pamela's contact. So feel free to follow her everywhere. Any advice, any thought just to end this episode, Pamela?
Yes, no, this has been a brilliant time. I've really loved chatting with you. I think my final thoughts are just looking at social media as an opportunity for growth and for learning and for connecting. And I know people say that all the time, but there's so much that you can get from that. And and if you have any hesitation, so if networking feels like it's a challenging word or a way to get into it, I think it's just looking at it as making friends at scale. And I mean, there's just so much good come from it, and what have you got to lose?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you to our wonderful audience. See you next time. This is the Newcomer Network, a U Multicultural channel. I was so happy to be once again, and see you next time. Bye-bye.